Here are 5 things you need to know before you enroll in Medicare Part D. Hi, David here. Welcome to Medicare Plan Review. This video, Medicare Part D, 5 things to know before you enroll, is very important because there's been some significant changes to the Medicare Part D program since its inception in 2006, and not knowing the ins and outs of Part D could leave you at a disadvantage. Also, be sure to stick around until the 5th thing you should know because it involves Medicare Part D premiums and why your premium may not be the same as what's published at the Medicare Part D website. So let's get started with Medicare Part D basics. First, you need to know what Medicare Part D is and how it works. So what is Medicare Part D? Part D is optional prescription drug coverage for Medicare beneficiaries who are enrolled in both Medicare Parts A and B. Medicare plans are offered by private insurance companies, and Part D is not part of Original Medicare. Plans are offered in defined service areas, generally by state. You can get Medicare Part D in one of 2 ways. You can enroll in a standalone plan, sometimes called a PDP, or you can enroll in a Medicare Advantage plan, like an HMO or PPO, that offers drug coverage. Plans are good for 1 calendar year, and in a minute I'll discuss the Medicare Part D enrollment periods, some of which you may have never heard of. The second thing you should know and understand is the terminology of Part D. First is Medicare Part D premiums, and this is pretty straightforward with the exception of what you may really pay, which I'll discuss as the 5th thing you should know about. Premiums have averaged in the low to mid $30 range for the last few years, but there are plans under $20 a month and some over $100 a month. The Part D deductible is an amount that you may have to pay prior to the plan paying for any of your drugs. Deductibles are capped by Medicare and can be as low as $0 per month. The Part D copayment or coinsurance amount is what you pay at the pharmacy. Drugs are placed in tiers, with most plans having either 4 or 5 tiers. The higher the tier, the more you pay. Tier 1 is typically preferred generics, and Tier 5 is generally specialty drugs. The initial coverage limit is set by Medicare and will be the same for all plans. It is the amount you pay at the pharmacy as well as the share your plan pays before you get to the coverage gap. This amount changes each year, and for 2013 is $2,970. After the initial coverage limit is exceeded, you go into the coverage gap, otherwise known as the Medicare Part D donut hole. Because of healthcare reform legislation, the donut hole will gradually close by 2020. In 2013, you now pay 47.5% of the plan's cost for generics and 79% for brand name drugs while in the donut hole. Some plans will offer additional coverage while you're in the gap. The catastrophic coverage phase is reached when you have spent a fixed amount while in the donut hole, currently $4,750. In this phase, you will pay a very small copayment or coinsurance amount to get your drugs. The third thing you need to know about Part D is when you can enroll. There are 3 types of Medicare Part D enrollment periods. When you're first eligible, you have a 7-month window that begins 3 months before the month you turn 65. If you get your Medicare due to a disability, you'll also have a 7-month window, which begins 3 months before your 25th month of disability. You should enroll prior to the month your Medicare becomes effective, so your Part D and Medicare coverage both start at the same time. The Part D annual election period is between October 15th and December 7th. During this time, you can drop, switch, or enroll in a plan. There are also some special enrollment periods, and some common special enrollment periods include if you move out of your plan service area, or you lose other creditable prescription drug coverage, like from an employer or a union, or if you live in a nursing home, you'll also have a special enrollment period. There's also a special enrollment period where you can enroll in a 5-star rated plan. Medicare rates plans from 1 to 5 stars, and a 5-star rated plan is one which received high marks from people enrolled in that plan. You can switch or enroll in a 5-star rated plan between December 30th and November 8th, but you can only make 1 switch per year. If you qualify for Medicare Extra Help due to a limited income, you can drop, switch, or enroll anytime. If you don't enroll in a plan when you first become eligible, but join later, you could incur a Part D penalty, and this will raise your premiums for as long as you're enrolled in the Part D program. Fourth, you need to know how to conduct a thorough comparison of Medicare Part D plans. When you visit the Plan Finder at Medicare.gov, you'll see an overview of plans available in your service area. But there's a lot more to Part D costs than the monthly premium. When comparing plans, you should first start with the Medicare Part D formulary, and be aware that each plan has its own formulary. The formulary is a list of covered drugs. There is no universal Medicare formulary. Plans either have a basic or enhanced formulary. A basic formulary will include the most common drugs that are taken by people on Medicare, while an enhanced formulary will include drugs normally on a basic formulary, as well as less common, as in more expensive, drugs. The most important thing you can do when comparing and shopping for a plan is to make sure that your drugs are covered. If not, any savings in monthly premium will soon be lost when you're paying for your own medications. If you need an enhanced formulary, you should join one. But if your drugs are covered by a basic formulary, you may be wasting your money to join a plan with an enhanced formulary. The formulary also lists which tiers drugs are placed in. You should be aware that a drug will not necessarily be placed in the same tier by all companies. It pays to drill down into the formulary to make your comparison. Also, look at the amounts you'll be required to pay at the pharmacy in copays and coinsurance. Another thing to consider is if you'll have to pay a deductible first. If so, you'll need to factor that in. And next, make sure your pharmacies are included in the network, and if you're required to take any maintenance medications, compare mail order benefits as well. The last thing you need to be aware of is that your premium may not be the same as what is published on the Medicare website. Part D premiums are now tied to your annual income. If you live below the poverty line, you may pay nothing, but earn an income above $85,000 for an individual or above $170,000 if filing jointly and expect to pay more. Since your Part B premium is also tied to your annual income, this is a double whammy. Even if you don't take prescription medications, you will pay more. And as more funding is being funneled to mandated and subsidized coverage for people under 65, it could get worse.